could we talk about what is actually grief? Like we all know that, when we have a loss, we feel sad, we feel emotions, we might go through certain stages, but what it is grief from your perspective, from your experience, from working with people, processing grief, and why is it that it's still in so many cases big taboo, a big topic that is being not talked about, and why do we actually need to talk more about grief for, I presume, making it less negatively impactful the more we talk about it?
So grief, in my perspective, is a very misunderstood process. And the reason I say that is that we all have societal social conditioning to not talk about it, to not discuss it. Oh, it's this big negative thing. Oh, you got to move on in life. You got to let go of that. It happened. Get over it. Life goes on. The crazy part about grief is that that's a matter of the heart. It's not a matter of the mind. Our conscious mind can rationalize things. It can process things. It can try to talk us out of stuff. But when it comes to matters of the heart will overpower the mind every single time. And I see it with everybody who goes through grief. I don't care if you're the guy that just doesn't want to feel emotions and you're Mr. Tough Guy, or you're a woman that puts on a front and says, well, I can't be overly emotional right now. I don't care who you are. Grief is a matter of the heart. And when we try to rationalize it with our brain, we're fighting internally. And that's why a lot of people go through a very big array of emotions. I've seen everybody go from angry to sad to frustrated to upset to depression to happiness and grief. I've seen the array of emotions that come with it. And grief is not a linear process, believe it or not. It's actually a big wave, is what I tell people. There's days that you're going to feel fine. You can go on with life. It's okay. But there's going to be days it feels like somebody just smacked you across the face with a bat, and you're just going, I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know why that happened. I don't know why I feel off today. And so grief is going to be all over the place. It's a big, messy process, is what I tell people. And my biggest phrase that I share with people that I coach who are in a bad place right now in their griefs, I say, it's okay to not be okay. I'm the one that's going to tell you that. Most people around you won't, but I will tell you it's okay to not be okay. Because I want to give people that space to say, I feel the way I do today. And I give myself permission to be here right now. I honor my grief journey by just accepting where I'm at today. It doesn't mean I like it, doesn't mean I enjoy it. But what it means is I've just accepted this for what it is. And now I get the ability to take my power back, take my control back, and say, well, how do I want to deal with this? How do I want to process this? What does grief mean to me? And what does moving forward look like? I've always told people, I don't like the phrase get over it, let it go, move on. I don't like that stuff. It doesn't work for anybody. Anybody who does do that, it's a lie you're telling yourself. You're actually dishonoring your grief journey by saying those things. So what you want to do is say, how can I move forward with my grief? How can I make purpose and meaning out of this thing in life? Because even in the worst moments of grief, there's a big gift and a lesson for you, big one. And when you find that, by the way, that horrible thing that happened to you, it's not the horrible thing. It's the thing that leveled you up into the next part of life.
I love how you've described grief. It's as you said, it is so personal, and it's everybody has a different way of dealing with it because, as you said, it's of the heart. And one thing that we seem to have done in the last, I can't remember how many years, it was probably about 100 years, is denied denied that grief happens. Whereas in the olden days, especially if there's a death, it's you used to wear black, and widows would wear black for a year to show that they are in a process of grieving. Men would have the black armbands to show, I am in this place, and it was accepted to show the world that I have had a loss and I'm here and I'm, still here. But it whereas now it's not something that you talk about or you share because, as you said, I will get over it. Oh well, it happened a week ago. What's your problem? It's or people just don't understand, and you'll say something is, I've experienced a death, or a friend of mine's died, or I've lost a child, and it's like, well, yeah, I've got to go sort something out, or well, it's actually a nice sunny day today, so you should be all right. It's like this total change of subject, or this blank look, or this, you can feel people trying to backpedal away from you, because it's like you almost become this contagion that, oh my God, I can't be anywhere near this person because I might catch whatever they've got. But all you're doing is you feeling sad, you feeling grief. And I know that grief is also comes in so many different ways. We have grief from a death of a loved one, a child. You can have a grief of losing a job. You can have grief of pets, your pets dying. And I know that Lenka and I have gone through that recently, and that's something that you don't talk about. How can you be sad over your dog dying? Or you can have grief is a loss of anything. It's not just death. It's not just losing a parent or a loved one or a child. It can be something as almost mundane as losing your job, or losing your house, or being robbed, or something. There's a loss that's happened. And I think this is where talking about grief is so important, because we see the big grief, the ones that we can see, and I'm using inverted commas there, because when it's family or friends, it's like, oh yeah, I get that, but I don't understand why you're grieving for a job, or why you're grieving for a loss of a child you didn't have, or it's trying to help people to understand maybe the place that you're in right now. And as you said, it doesn't go away. We just learn to live with it. We just learn to find ways to have it in our life. But it's not that you're in that absolute grip of it. When it just first happens, you have that, like, I don't know, the heartbreaking or that shock. But over time, you're still living with it. It doesn't go away. It's not anything that just goes away. And some people deal with it differently, or maybe better than others, but it all varies on the relationships that you've had prior to that. So I love that we're talking about this topic. I know it's can be a really grim topic, but I think it's an important topic, because it happens to everybody. You can't avoid it. It happens to everybody. Within a lifetime, it can happen a lot of times. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for sharing about what got you on your journey. Because as you say, these journeys don't just start, when you're a kid on a whim. It's normally something that triggers a person to go in the direction that they're going in. And losing a son at stillbirth, I mean, that's a hell of a thing to go through, and to share it with others, and to embrace that into something that you are helping others. As you said, it was a gift, which I know it sounds really weird, doesn't it? It's like,
It does.
this is a gift, but like you said, it's what do we get from the experience? What do we learn from it, and how can we grow with it? So with all that rambling, is what do you let me try get my words into I'll put my teeth back in, as they say here in the UK. We'll put our teeth back in. It's how do you help people? And I know you say that it's okay to not be okay, but how do you help people to really understand or know what it is they're going through? Because we suppress our emotions, so we might not have an understanding of what we're dealing with. It's, as you said, the mind is going, yeah, but you've lost somebody, but the mind is also going, well, deal with it, just let's go. And then you just keep going. So how do you actually get somebody to, like, sit down and really understand or find a way to deal with what they're going through? I hope that question made sense.
Natalie, it made perfect sense. You said a lot of good things, by the way, so I want to catch up to that and how I help people at the end here. Really, with grief, it's a personal transformation journey, is what I tell people. What you were used to over here does not exist over here after grief. My life after I lost my grandfather, not the same. My life after I lost my kid, not the same. The reason people have a hard time with grief is we're so used to what we've normalized in our day and our routine in our life. And when we go through grief, it's a massive shift. It's like our life gets flipped upside down, and all of a sudden, who we were is not who we are anymore. We're stepping into this new version of ourselves. And so it's very uncomfortable because we're having to meet our new version of ourselves. We're having to say, oh, who's this new version of Natalie or Lenka? Who's this new version of ourselves? How do we think? How do we feel now? Do we like the same people we have in our life, or there are people that just are not working out for us and we got to let that go? If we're in a place of a job, for example, if we don't like that job anymore, we've got to let it go. Or if we get fired from that job, we've got to move forward from that because that job it served us, it served its purpose, it served its time, but it's something that's passed on and we're ready for that next thing. We get uncomfortable with this personal transformation journey because, like I said, it's very uncertain. It's very new. It's causing us to step into somebody else that we're not quite yet. But when we do make that shift, that's where we meet our true self. That's where we align with ourselves and we really become bigger than who we are. So that's number one. Number two, the other point you brought up, Natalie, is that as we go through grief, a lot of people don't understand our journey or don't want to. I've learned a very powerful lesson through my own journeys is that people can only empathize with you to the level of experience they have in life. And using the loss of my stillborn, by the way, I had lots of people that made very uncomfortable for them. They didn't know how to respond. They didn't know how to react to it. They'd brush it off. They'd just say, well, it happened. Like it just, I don't know what to tell you. It just is what it is. They're not going to understand. So when you do go find people that have experienced a loss like you, somebody who's lost a parent, somebody who's lost a grandparent, somebody who's lost a kid, somebody who's lost a job, maybe somebody who's gotten fired from a job. Go find those people that resonate with your loss because they will understand you. They will get you. And the reason I say that is when you're in a grief process, if you surround yourself with people that don't understand you, you will amplify that trauma and you'll amplify the problem going on. You won't feel seen and heard and understood, as I like to say. So find people that make you feel that way. Find people that say, hey, it's okay to not be okay. I understand you. I hear you. I see you. I understand you. When you find people that can give you that, that grief process gets a lot easier for you. And it gives you support, it gives you validation, but it gives you a way to move forward. How I help people with that, by the way, is exactly what I just said. I make people feel seen and heard and understood because at a core level of who we are as humans, and I don't care where you live in the world, what you identify as, your thought patterns, your beliefs, I don't care about any of that, honestly, because as a human being, as a person, doesn't matter who you are, when you feel seen, when you feel heard, you feel understood, there's this thing in your body where your shoulders go down, your face muscles relax, your heart stops beating so quickly because you feel seen and you feel valued. You feel as a person, as a human being, you're there and you're present. And when somebody gets to that place, by the way, being vulnerable is not a problem because vulnerability is who we are. This tough exterior we put on, the labels we identify ourselves with, just are really not helpful to society. They're not helpful to you. There's a lot of people that say, oh, you're an acceptance coach. That's a label I use to call myself in coaching, but it's not who I am. It's not what I do. I'm really just somebody that listens to somebody and holds space for people that are grieving. And I give them space to just be exactly who they are in that moment or who they want to be. I don't have conditions or rules on how people need to be. I don't. I accept people for who they are. And when you give people that space, by the way, beautiful, beautiful things happen. And I've watched people that have gone through current losses, like a family member committing suicide, just be open with themselves. And in that place of vulnerability, and I'll wrap up with this, you get real honest with your emotions. And it doesn't come out in, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm this, I'm that. It doesn't come out that way. It comes out in the terms of, I feel this way and I just don't understand this. I feel this way and I don't know what to do with this. And that gives you a beautiful place in your grief journey to begin the healing process.
For somebody who's knows somebody who's had a loss, and not for the person who's had a loss, but our listeners might know somebody who's recently lost a parent or lost a friend, or whatever they've lost, and wants to be there but doesn't really necessarily know how to be there. And of course they don't want to be that person that's trying to backpedal and go away, but because they don't know what to say or what to do, what would be your advice for somebody who wants to be there but doesn't know how to be there?
That is a great question, Natalie. You're the first person that's asked me that on the podcast. So I love that. What I would share is if you are in a situation where you need to support somebody with grief, my biggest thing I can share with you is your presence alone is so powerful to somebody. I'm going to tell you that right now. You don't even have to say much. That's the funny part that a lot of people don't know. We fill that awkward silence that a lot of us feel in those moments. We fill that with rambling or talking all the time because we're just not certain how to deal with it. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, by the way. I want to make that really clear. We fill that void and that silence because we're just not sure how to handle this situation. We don't know what to expect. We may not have lost a parent or lost a child, so we're going, I don't know how to help this person, but I got this thing that I really want to help them. And so what I always share is the best thing you can do is you can say really simple statements to them. Keep it really simple and just say, I'm very sorry this happened to you, or I'm very sorry for your loss. Um, Saying, I can't imagine what you're going through right now, but if you would like to talk, I'd like to be there for you. And the best question I use all the time that sounds a lot better is asking somebody, how can I support you today? And just leave it at that. Turn that power over to the griever to tell you what they need at that moment. I had a very powerful moment 2 months ago. I met a guy in the UK who was suicidal in a very bad place on Facebook. And he and I have been messaging ever since we connected. But I asked him one day when he was having a really bad day. He and I were in the DMs for probably 2 hours that day. And I just said to him, I'll just use a fake name, so I don't want to call his name out, but I just said, John, um, what's going on right now? And he said, I'm having really bad thoughts. And I said, why don't you share those with me? I said, share those thoughts with me. I don't even know. You're across the pond, mate. I mean, we can just do this whatever way we need to. He dumped all his thoughts in the DM. And I told him, I said, how did that make you feel to get that all out? And he said, Chris, you're a top bloke. I can't thank you enough for giving me space to just get this thought out right now. And I asked him from there, I said, how best can I support you today on top of what we've already done? What can I do to support you? And he said, you've given me the biggest amount of support I needed because I just needed to feel heard. I just needed to get these thoughts out. I needed somebody that would listen and not tell me I'm crazy or not tell me I don't have a problem. I just needed somebody to hear me. And so I use this example to say that if you are somebody around a griever, that awkward, shifty thing that goes on with people that you're not sure how to deal with the situation, that's an uncomfortable place for you because you're going to deal with something you're not familiar with. But the best thing you can really do is just say, how can I best support you today? And see those comments, acknowledge them too. That's a big one. I think what I stumbled around with is acknowledge them. Just say, I'm very sorry that happened to you, or I'm really sorry to hear you're going through that right now. What can I do to support you? That's the best thing you can do. I'll tell you right now, by the way, that person might not want to talk sometimes, and that's okay. Just sit with them in silence. Presence a huge thing. If they want to talk about other topics, by the way, like the weather or whatever it may be, just let them do it. Sit there and listen. When they make those people, back to what I said earlier, when you make somebody feel seen, heard, and understood, doesn't always mean you have to talk or change the subject or shift things around, but just listening to them, it's so powerful for that person because they're in a very vulnerable state. They themselves, by the way, grievers, we're also not sure what we want to say sometimes because we're thinking the same thing you are about, well, if I say this, they're going to make them really uncomfortable. When I lost my son, I was like, yesterday when I went to the dentist, the lady said, do you have kids? And I got really nervous and was like, when I tell people I have a stillborn, they get like, whoa, that's a lot. I don't know. I'm not sure I can handle this kind of thing. But I got met with the opposite thing when I said, I lost my son a couple years ago and He's a beautiful boy. And she said, I'm so sorry you went through that loss. I can't imagine what it was like to have a stillborn. She said, I can't even get pregnant. My body won't let me do it. So I've been struggling with that myself, majority of my life. And then she asked me, what was your son's name? And a lot of people don't ask me that, but she has no idea, by the way. This total stranger I met yesterday has no idea how powerful it was when she said, what was your son's name? That question lights me up like a little kid. So I shared that example today to tell you guys when you are dealing with somebody that's in a grieving situation, ask some questions like that. You have no idea how the simplest question can touch their heart in such a big way.